Had a feeling tea break just now? Huh? Did you eat the what? Dodo? Dodo? Huh? Best curry puffs. Yeah. So now it's time to take a nap, huh? Okay, let's come to the Lord in prayer. Our good Lord, we thank you for this time that we can learn together as we think about how we can continue to reach out to the community around us for the needs that they have, that we can be truly a city on the hill. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Okay. Now, how many of you have attended the cell group workshops before this? Can you put out your hand? Just any of the cell group workshops. Now, if you have attended any of the cell group workshops, you know that it's very much a lot of how to do welcome, play games, all these things. It's very hands-on, right? But a lot of these things that we've been discussing so far is within the cell group, right? So now today we are thinking more of how as a cell group we can move out from here, from our cell group, move out as a cell group to the community or to our neighborhood, and to see what we can do in the neighborhood. And for some of us, we might not have this experience before, so we can feel that it's a bit intimidating. Some of us, we have this experience on an individual and a group capacity. But I think we can all learn together, something, and to encourage one another. And of course, today I also have someone to share with me as well, a special speaker, not just me, who is Adam. Adam will be sharing one section at the end about his experience in social action. Yeah. So allow me to just share a bit on the theory part first, and then we talk about the practical, right? Can't click. Okay, so I want to recommend this book. I don't know, whether you like reading or not, but this is called The Externally Focused Quest. All right, in the Externally Focused Quest, this book, it talks about what kind of church is your church. There are two types of church, right? One is the aisle seat church. Another one is the window seat church. Now, I'm sure many of us have taken a flight before, on an aeroplane. Everyone can fly. Where do you usually sit? Do you sit along the corridor, or do you sit beside the window? Who likes to sit beside the window? Put out your hand. All right. Who likes to sit along the corridor, the aisle seat? Who anywhere also can? Anyone? Anywhere? Okay. All right. Okay. Now, if you ask those younger people, I think, especially those who seldom take a flight, they will usually like to sit beside the window, because from the window you can see a lot of things outside. Imagine the first time when you were sitting in an aeroplane, you're looking at the clouds, right? And then especially before you move off, or right after you move, your plane is lifted, or before you land, you will see a lot of those. You look at all the houses, or all the things are like very small and tiny things, right? So you will have such a memory. But the older you get, I would say, but today a bit different, the statistics. But the older we get, usually we are not very particular, or we usually like to sit along the corridor, the walkway. Why? Because you want to be the first to go out. Huh? Toilet, yes, toilet, one thing. Okay. All right, toilet. Stretch your. Oh, okay. Then you have to sit the business class. Okay, so toilet is one thing, very important, right? Especially you look at, on vacant, then you go already, right? And the other thing is also because there are a lot of people, Malaysians, we say kiasu. That means right after the plane has landed, even before the what do you call that? Fasten your seatbelt light is not off yet. People, right? And then they will stand up and try to take the luggage. And even though you are taller, you are tall, you are taller than the height of the luggage area compartment. You're just waiting there and your head is like this. A lot of people are like this, right? Because they want to be the first to go off. But anyway, it doesn't matter because it doesn't really save you that much time. But psychologically, you just feel that you want to be one of the first few to move out. And you don't want someone behind you to cut queue. These are all the funny things. But having said that, these two authors, Eric Swanson and Rick Russo, they use this as an analogy or an illustration to talk about the church. Is your church an aisle seat church, or is a window seat church? It means, is your church a church that's so focusing on the movement within the church building, right? Because if you're sitting next to the walkway, you're focusing on more on what is happening in the aeroplane. Whereas if you're sitting beside the window, your focus is more on what is happening outside the window, outside the plane, right? So he's saying that, look at your church. Is your church so much focusing on the action, the activities within the four walls of the church? Or you are a church that's always looking at the needs out there? What is happening in the community? Who are our neighbors, right? Do we reach out to them? You know, are they more Malays, Indians, or Chinese? Are they coming from the poor families or what, etc.? Right? So if you are an aisle-seat church, you must be more modern about let's have good aircon, which is good. Let's have good PA system. You know, we have good things so that Easter and Christmas we can attract people to come. That's why we call it an attractional church. You do good stuff here to attract people to come into the church building. Whereas the other one is more of what we call a missional model. Our church is more of going out to be missional, to fulfill the Great Commission, to reach out to other people beyond the church. Now, of course, every church can be both missional and attractional, right? But what he's saying here is that for the authors, one is you want to be the best church in the community. Means that you do your very best to make sure everything here, both hardware or the people, you know, we do our very best so that we can be the best church within the community. So that when people come into the church, they realize that, wow, this church is wonderful. But only if they step into the church building, right? If they have never stepped into the church building, they will never know how good you are or how friendly you are unless you reach out to them. The other one is you position yourself to be the best church for the community. That means in every activity that you do, every program that you have, you're thinking about how do I move out? How do we move out to reach out, whether it's through individual, cell group, or as a church? How do we reach out to minister to the people out there? So the question comes back to us. Are we more of a best church in the community? Or are we thinking about best church for the community? Now you look at your budget, the church budget every year, you look at the programs that we have, then you will better know you are which type of church, right? Most churches are aisle-seat church, right? Why? Sorry, I can't really pronounce this very well. Aisle. Okay, you're better than me, huh? Okay. I always see this. I go and Google. Okay, pronounce it for me. Okay, right? But very few churches are window seat church, and I think Jesus' intentions is for us to be window seat church, best church for the community, not just in the community. That's why they always ask these questions, right? You will hear this question before, where people say that, ask yourself this question: if suddenly your church disappear from this community, will the community feel your absence or not? That means, will the community miss you or not? If they don't, that means at most you are trying to be the best church in the community. But if suddenly your whole church, disappear, or everyone just move out from Port Dickson, I mean the Christians here, will your absence be felt or not? If yes, that means you have been trying to be the best church for the community. And I think we should move more from the in to the for. Can I hear an amen? Right? And we talk about this during the pandemic, suddenly the whole church shut down. A lot of people don't know how to serve because all this while, we only think about serving God on Sundays in the church building. Once the Sunday service is over, or the children ministry is over, or the Tamil ministry is over, wash hand already. Nothing else about Jesus already. It's all about me, my time. Okay? So let's look at Isaiah chapter 58. Right? It's not this the kind of fasting I've chosen to loosen the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke. Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. Basically, God is saying that, look, I know that you are fasting. I know that you are trying to fulfill religious duties, which is okay. But behind that, what I'm looking for is not just religious duties, but behind that, it should be accompanied with these things. If you can do these things, then your fasting is meaningful. If you do these things, then your sacrifice is well received. The thing for us a lot of times is that we just want to fulfill our religious duties. We give offering, we serve a bit in the church, we come for service, we thought that we have done it all. We have responded well to Christ for his death on the cross. But it's more than that. And a lot of times, why don't we do the other things like the Israelites? They don't want to do all these things because it's messy, it's inconvenient, and the return of investment is very low. Okay, the return on investment is very low. Means that a lot of times when you go and help other people, they might not even thank you. Some might thank you, but many might not even thank you. And after some time, those of you who have experienced, after some time, people tend to take for granted of their help. I have in my church, Hebron Church, I have this sister who was a deacon. Later on, she migrated to Australia, but she was a very fantastic, caregiver in our church. Not just giving care to the loved ones, but giving care to the community. And we have heard stories and even people coming to the church, knocking on the door, shouting her name and complain. Why is she so cruel? Why hasn't she been coming to help me? After a few years of helping them, taking care of the family, this is what she gets in return. Now, who in the right mind want to do this thing? Better just come here and fulfill our religious duty, isn't it? But that's not what Jesus wants us to do, isn't it? So life as a Christian is messy because of all these things. Basically, God is saying, you look at all these things you are not doing, and then you just fast and you think, I will like it. No, I won't like it unless you do these things. All right? So back to the book, it says that externally focused church means churches that focus beyond the church building, what he calls the window seat churches. They measure their effectiveness not by how many congregants, that means not by how many worshippers are sitting in the pews or chairs, but rather by how many congregants are engaged in the community. You see, a lot of times we think about, even as pastors, when we go for pastors' fellowship, I talked about this before. When we introduce one another, right? So they will ask me, how big is your church? 100 people. Then I ask them, how big is your church? 500 people. Well, the way they talk also a bit louder. All right? Because the bigger your church is, it seems to reflect your effectiveness and competence as a pastor. Even though it shouldn't be like this, right? So a lot of churches and pastors are thinking about, I want to grow my church in number, which is not wrong, but that becomes their primary obsession. As long as people come to church, I've done my part. But no, externally focused churches, they don't focus on how many people are sitting here, but how many people are moving out to engage with the community. All right? So therefore, this is what he suggests. Okay, it's a bit small, but allow me to explain a bit. Okay, I'll just tell you. Okay, here in this axis, you have externally focused depth of engagement. This is externally focused frequency of engagement. Let me explain. Means that here, can you see this or not? Money and things. Then you have projects, then you have people. That means if we do a survey among the people in the church, like how much you are engaging or how deep you are engaging with others in the community in terms of serving them, not in the church building, the lowest level will be money and things. Means, like for example, we have been doing food bank, right? Giving out food. So the lowest level of commitment is what? Give money, no? Or give things. Better than nothing, right? But that's the lowest. If you move up to projects, means that, okay, maybe once a year we do spring cleaning at the beach, for example. Have you done that before? Okay, let's say, for example, because we believe that this world is created by God and we have a responsibility towards creation, and therefore once a year we organize a spring cleaning or beach cleaning, right? And then many people come and commit themselves for that one-off project every year. So that is more than money and things now. That we move out to projects. So that level of engagement is much higher than money and things. Because money and things, you don't even go out there. You just give offering. Someone now is online. Easy, right? Okay. Of course, I'm not saying that giving money is easy. Some of us are even struggling financially. But I'm saying that lowest level of commitment is money and things. Then you move to project. And then you move to the last one is people. Means on a regular basis, you are not just joining church project. You're not just giving out money through the church to other people that you have not seen before. You're really meeting the needs of other people on a physical basis. That means not just physical, maybe you call them on regular basis, you comfort them, you encourage them, you pray for them, you see your neighbor in need, you help you understand their needs, and then you help them. So these people. All right. So think about this. In terms of community reaching, in terms of engaging with the neighborhood, where are you? Are you more on the money and things? Are you more on the projects? Are you more on the people side? You might have, for each of these, you might also be involved. You might be giving out money, you might be attending the projects of the church, and you might also be meeting the needs of other people, maybe. All right, but what these authors are saying here is that you can basically see where your people are based on a survey that you can do among the people. Then say, for example, all right, say for example, Yvonne, right? Let's say you deal with people. You meet the needs of people on a weekly basis. Then you have to put a dot here. Because this is yearly, quarterly, that means once in 3 months, monthly and weekly. So Yvonne, you have put a dot here because you deal with, you minister to people on a weekly basis. People doesn't mean church people, someone outside. The church people, we all minister to one another. Then everyone dot here, put here. All right, but we're talking about external, beyond the church. Let's say some of you, you don't really do much, all right? You give out money once a year, and then you put a dot here. So money and things, projects, people, yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly. This is frequency of engagement. This is depth of engagement. Okay, a bit technical, bear with me. So usually in a church, the church that is not so externally focused, the church is more on focusing on the progress in the church. Most of the people will be here. You see or not? Why? Because giving out money and things is easier than going out to meet people. So you see a lot of people doing it here, because on yearly basis. Very few people do here. Weekly basis, go and reach out to the people in the neighborhood. Very few. So what we need to do as a church, GPPD, is we need to, through our cell groups and different ways, we need to encourage our people and ourselves to slowly move towards the middle, then towards the top part. So like say this year, you're focusing more on still giving out money. Maybe second half of the year or next year on, when the church has projects of going to, let's say, a flooded area, the team went twice, right? Or 3 times, 2 times, 3 times, all right? So not just young people go. Some of you, we can go. So you move from money and things to project. Right? Baby step is okay, but we want to advance. We cannot, after 10 years, we are still here. No. We have to slowly move up. Then when you move up, you will slowly see that your church is more externally focused. You will see that the church as a whole and individually, we want to be the best church for the community and not just in the community. Okay? So far, okay? So we want to move towards that. That's the plan. Okay, let me just share some exciting story to encourage us. Now, so these are all experiments that we can think of. Now, there's in the book itself, they talk about this church called Life Bridge Christian Church. Of course, in the West, in US. So the church leadership came up with this experiment called 50-50 experiment. What do you mean by that? Means that every cell group, even though they come to Sunday service, they give offering. In cell group, they also give offering. Now you ask yourself, why is it that in church they give offering? Cell group also want to give offering. Because they're trying to practice, each cell group is like a church. So in the church, what the church does on the Sunday service, they also try to do it in the cell group. So because church service, they collect offering, so cell group, they also collect offering. Of course, the offering goes to the church, not for themselves, go and makan. All right? So, but what they do is that every weekend, every week, after they have collected the offering, they will give to the treasurer of the church. Because the cell group offering will definitely 100% go to church general fund. Okay, clear? But that period, that 1 year, what they did was that they made an experiment where they say every end of the month, all the money that's been collected by the various cell groups, right? Say, for example, you have one cell group collected 500 ringgit for that month. Then the 250 ringgit, which is 50%, will go back to the cell group. Not for makan, not for supper, but for them to use it to bless the community. Okay, so 500 ringgit, before this was 500 ringgit go to the church, the leadership will decide how to use the money. Now, half go to the church, another half go to the cell group. The cell group now has the responsibility to use the money only for community purpose. That means now they had a bit panic already. Now we need to start thinking about how do we bless the community. We cannot simply use the money because it's church money. Right? If my own money are simply, church money cannot. And now there's a responsibility, even though I'm not a leader, but as a cell group, the church has entrusted us the responsibility to use the money to bless the community. So in the end, various church cell groups, they had various projects. The first cell group, what they did was that they looked at a school nearby. They went to talk to the principal and said, we know that in this school, there are many children that come from poor families. Okay? So what we do is that we want you to identify maybe four children out of this primary school. Okay? And we want to bless the 4 children by sponsoring their stationery, their after-school expenses, their makan, everything. We want to bless them. So can you identify 4 students for us to bless? Like that, no? So from there, the principal also very shocked. Wow, got this kind of lobang. Why got people come and want to bless us? But never before. And this in the US. Right? So the school also very happy, identify a few children from poor families, and that's where the relationships start to be built. So it started off from money and things, but slowly moved to people. You see, so if let's say we think about going out to give money, give food, and then you say, hello, bye-bye, that's it, then it defeats the purpose. But through the giving out of the things, we build relationship, and from there we continue to minister to them. Of course, eventually we will want them to hear the gospel, right? But don't just go there the first time. You want to believe in Jesus or not? All right? No Jesus, no food. Cannot like that, ma. Right? Because those days, the missionaries, they are like this. They go to Thailand, they go to other countries, right? They will tell them, hey, we have a lot of food, you want or not, you become Christian. It's a bit like the government, how they tackle the East Malaysians, right? You become Muslims, your place, the infrastructure will be ready. That's why during those days when the missionary came over from the West, there were pastors who called these Christians, they became Christians because of the food. They call them rice Christians. Because they became Christians for the sake of the rice. You go and Google rice Christians. Because the missionaries came saying that you want Jesus, you want food, you take Jesus first. It's a package. Right? But that shouldn't be our ulterior motive. When there's a chance, we bless, we proclaim. If there's no chance, we bless only. It's okay. Right? So this is the first group. Second group, they got to know a single mother. All right? A single mother with 2 children. And this single mother, you know those single parents struggle because they have to work, but they also have to take care of their children. Not easy, right? So what happened to this single mother? Right? This is not church people. Single mother, she met an accident and she didn't have the money to cover the expense of the damage of the car. So the other cell group, through friends, they got to hear about this thing. And then they said, why not we bless this mother and absorb all the cost of the repair for the car damage? Using what? Using the 50% of the offering. Okay, so this is what they did. Third group, what they did was that they got to know this family where during the recession, both parents were being retrenched. That means they were kicked out from the company. So they felt like, okay, this period is very critical. Why not we use the money to help them to go through this storm during this season? Okay, now you hear all these things are very good, right? But then the next question is, we don't know whether their needs are genuine or not. That's why when the cell groups were being entrusted with this responsibility, using the church money to bless the people, they also felt a bit, we need to interview first to make sure that this family or this couple or this single mother, the need is genuine, right? Cannot simply just give out money, because the church leadership will ask you, okay, how do you spend 500 ringgit? All right? So they had to pray. They had to discuss among themselves during the cell group time. They discuss, they plan, they pray, and then they reach out. And then even slowly from there, some of these people who have received the help, right, they also come and join the cell group. Because they felt like, where got people like that one, so good towards us? So through giving out money, all right, as a project, they give out money, moving up to minister to the people, slowly the people come to know Christ. Now, whether or not in the end they become Christian or not is between them and God. We just do our best, right? We cannot force, If there's a chance, we proclaim. But through this, not only did the people being ministered to, the people in the cell groups, they were also being blessed because suddenly they felt like, hey, we can do something here. It's not difficult. We can do something, and we are taking on the responsibility in the church to handle church money. Sometimes in the church, this church a bit different. You are very good. But in some churches, I'm not saying other churches not good. That sounds a bit weird also, right? But sometimes, in some churches, the members are very particular during AGM. Ask you, why you spend the money like this? In my money, I give offering one, I have the right to say how you should use the money, leadership. Sometimes some members are like that. Because they give much, so their voice a bit louder. But I always tell them, you can say something, but doesn't mean that because you give money to God, means you are the boss. Right? So for people like this, when they are given the chance in the cell group to bless using church money, they're happy. Because they feel that, suddenly I have a platform to do something with church money, to decide in a responsible way how we should use the money. And sometimes church, I understand. Members sometimes feel very frustrated. Why is it our church money is always maintenance of the church, never really meeting the needs of the community? Sometimes we say that, which is true. Okay, so this is a very good thing that we can think about as leaders, but also in cell group. In the cell group, you can think about how we can adopt families, adopt people, individuals that are in need, how we as a cell group can collect resources and be a blessing to them. We should do this on a regular basis, not like once a year. Christmas come, it's a season of giving. Give already, after 1 year, only we give again. Every December you will see them, but after that, the next December only you will see them again. This is not lifestyle, right? Kingdom lifestyle should be doing it on a regular basis. Okay, so far any thoughts or any sharing or not? you want to add on to what has been said, or even in your cell group experience, anything. Anyone want to share something? Okay, we move on. Okay. Okay. I was thinking, why did I put this handsome man here? This is Superman, right? Now, allow me to share a bit on this part because it's a bit technical, but it's very important. Now, sometimes when we give food, we give money, we give something to other people, we feel good about ourselves because we feel that we are helping the person. We feel good as in like we are Superman. It's like, I'm here to help you. So you listen to me on how I'm going to help you. You listen to my advice. So if you want my money, you listen to my advice. Of course, our advice we usually think is good. But sometimes there is the mentality that we are here to save you. Okay? Now this is very obvious when West Malaysians go to East Malaysia to help them. Very obvious. Because I go for mission trips to Sarawak, I know this is happening. All right? Maybe I shared this before. When we go there, right, they treat you like VIP. They will give, they might not be rich. They will surely bring out their wild boar for you to makan, which maybe is actually not, it's a burden for them. Burden as in like it's very expensive. They can sell it for good money. There was one time I went, they also treat us to monkey. But you as a guest, you must respect their culture, right? You cannot say, eat, you must eat. So join me for a trip to Monkey Island. But having said that, I just want to say, when we go there and interact with the pastors, right, they respect you like how we respect the Westerner. Right? No offense, Yvonne. But you know what I'm saying here? It's like when we see the Westerners come, the Malaysian, when we see the Westerner come, we feel that we are inferior, they are superior. Okay? Now saying this is a bit awkward in front of Yvonne. All right, but I just want to say this is a true thing. Let's say, because I hear from some pastors, in KL you have, this is recorded. In KL you have churches that have a lot of expats, a lot of Angmo, a lot of foreigners, right? But slowly these churches are becoming more indigenous, where they are more locals now, less expats. But you will hear the leaders telling us that, our members, they talk to the Asian leaders, the Malaysian leaders, they like despise them. When they talk to the Western leaders, talk like VIP, Somehow we have this kind of mindset. Now, if you can understand this kind of mindset, then you can better understand when we as Malaysians, West Malaysians, when we go to Sarawak. That's how they treat us. Because we come, they think that we are smarter, and more importantly, they know that we'll give them money. So everything you say, you want to go for mission trip, you do VBS there, everything okay. But in their mind and in their heart, why are you here? You don't come, you save the air ticket, the money you give to us, we can do a better job than you. Now you might think I am assuming. I'm not assuming, because I talk to a lot of Sarawakian pastors, and after building relationship, that's what they tell us. They actually don't need you to come and help them. In the end, we go there with you. Wow, I'm so good. I come here and help them. Wow, if without us, their children ministry will not grow well. Actually, for them, they can do it better than you. But since you want to come, they make you happy, right? And then a lot of times, as we go like tourists, right? So this is something that in the near future, when we go for mission trip again, we need to think about this. Are we going as heroes, as saviors, or what? Or are we going in a humble posture? In the same way when we help those in the community, are we going as saviors, telling them what to do, or are we going as fellow servants? Very, very important. Okay, so with this, I want to, later Adam can share a bit more on the experience of dealing with people who are in need, right? But allow me to just share this theory part so that we can get an understanding. This guy, Brian Myers, he mentioned that if you look at Genesis chapter 3, each person, or starting from Adam and Eve, we have 4 kinds of relationships. Okay, this one very important. 4 kinds of relationship. First is our relationship with God, no problem. Second is our relationship with ourselves. That means, do we feel comfortable with ourselves or not? How do we look at ourselves? Do we look at ourselves as inferior, superior, or what? That's our relationship with ourselves. Of course, our relationship with other people, and the relationship with rest of creation. Means like the beach. Gotong royong at the beach. So rest of creation means all the other creation. So God, usually we talk about God and others. Love God, love neighbors. But the other 2 relationship is with myself and with the rest of creation. Okay? So when Adam and Eve sinned against God, these 4 relationships at the same time were fractured, broken. 4 relationships. It's not just Adam and God or Eve and God. Adam and Eve and all these 4 relationships all were fractured at the same time. Let's talk about this one by one. First one, the poverty of spiritual intimacy. Suddenly, Adam and Eve were fearful of God. Remember that? They were in the garden, and when they hear God walking, they hid themselves, right? H-I-D, not H-I-T. All right, that means they hide from God. They were fearful of God because they knew that they were wrong and they wanted to avoid God. So because Adam and Eve had sinned against God, and from then on, because we ourselves have that sinful nature, and therefore there is a poverty of spiritual intimacy. We cannot go near to God. Of course, because of Christ, we can. But by default, we cannot go near to God. There's a poverty of spiritual intimacy. That's number one. Number two, because of that, or together with that, there's the poverty of being. Means that there's that poverty of our self-worth. Remember, Adam and Eve were not just fearful of God, they were ashamed of themselves. Right? That's why they covered themselves with leaves. Remember that? There was a sense of shame about themselves. They were guilty of what they have done. There was a sense of shame. Right? So there's the poverty of being. I am poor of my. That means I'm suffering from poverty of my self-worth or my identity. Okay, if you don't really understand, just pretend you understand for a while. Okay, because I'll give an example. I know this is a bit, what is this? All right. And then, of course, we understand that there was the poverty of community. Because Adam and Eve, immediately, there was the fracturing of the relationship between the husband and the wife, right? So there was the poverty of community. So when we come together as a church, right? Yes, even though we are Christians, but there will still be gossiping, there will still be unforgiveness, there will still be conflict and friction among us. And sometimes we'll blame one another, like how Adam blamed Eve and Eve blamed the serpent. Remember that? So there will be that since then, there is the poverty of community. In the community, there is the poverty of intimate relationship. That's the third one. Fourth one is the poverty of stewardship. Because Adam has sinned against God, and therefore God cursed the ground, right? God said that Adam, from now on, you have to work, you have to toil, right? But it will be difficult for you. So our relationship with the ground or our relationship with rest of creation is cursed. The ground or the earth or the creation will give us a lot of problems because of the effects of sin. So we have the poverty of stewardship. Don't know how to handle the resources that God has given to us. All right, whether it's time, whether it's the earth, resources on the earth. So from here, you can see that it's not just one kind of poor. When we talk about poverty, we always talk about physical poverty, right? When we say, oh, this person is poor, we always think about this person not having enough money, correct or not? But here, I just want to share is that there are 4 kinds of poverty. All right? Then the next question, Then the next question, okay, so we come to this. Bear with me. Right? So in the present context that we are in, these 4 types of poverty is also on display. First one, when you see people deny God, they say, I don't believe there's a God, or I don't believe that your God is the true God, or they take other things, other created things as their God. That's idolatry. That is a display of poverty of spiritual intimacy because they do not know who this true God is. Therefore, they deny God, they despise God, they go after other gods, they go other idols, and therefore that is poverty of spiritual intimacy. So far, okay or not? Okay. Second one is poverty of being. Remember, Adam and Eve, they were very shameful on themselves, right? And then as you move on in the current context, many of us also have poverty of being. Some of us, we have God complex. Means that when we go and serve other people, we think that we are like God. I tell you what to do, you listen because I give you money. God complex. Mission trip, even here, sometimes what we do is like that, God complex. Then from their end, those in the East Malaysia, when they receive your blessing, when they receive your money, they have low self-esteem. They already have low self-esteem. Now you come to them and help them, you reinforce their low self-esteem. Because they say, see, these rich people, they tell us what to do. We just listen. We are poor. We are nobody. We just listen to the rich. So this is poverty of being. On the one hand, those who help, they have God complex. On the other hand, those who are being helped, they have low self-esteem. The third one, poverty of community. Because we are so self-centered, sometimes we use our wisdom to exploit other people. So even in a community, right, there are people who will try to take advantage of other people. That's why you have things like slavery, you have things like trafficking, all these things, human trafficking. These are all poverty of community because the fracturing of relationship. Fourth one, poverty of stewardship, right? Because the ground is cursed, we don't know how to handle the resources. Sometimes it can move to, we don't know how to work well. So some people, they are lazy. Some people, they are workaholic. Some people, they see the material goods as their idol, materialism. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. Let me give you an example, all right? So here, I just want to say is that this is to tell you that who are the poor? We are all poor. You see or not? From here, you can see that certain things you also have that kind of characteristics. It means when we go and help those who are financially poor, it's just a poor person helping another poor person. It's just that our poverty is in different form. You understand what I'm saying here? This is to tell us that we are all poor people. Some are just financially poor, some are spiritually poor, some are, poor in community, etc. And that will help us to put ourselves in a position where when we go and help other people, we are not arrogant. We don't say, I tell you what to do because I give you money. Because we are all poor in different ways. Okay, let me give you finally an example of how this looks like. All right, so much theory, right? How this, because this is like lecture stuff, sorry. Okay, but this is very important. This book is a very good book when helping hurts. It's telling us that helping doesn't always help. When you help other people, it might hurt other people, it might hurt you. Like what I say about the mission trip to Sarawak. It doesn't mean you go there, you're helping them, You might actually reinforce their low self-esteem. Okay, so in this book, there's this example of Mary. Mary lives in the slums. That means those poor areas in Western Kenya. And she suffers from material poverty. That means she's very poor, no money. So what she did was that she borrowed money from loan sharks to sell homemade charcoal. Now, how do they make charcoal? I don't know. But basically, in this example, real life example, she took a loan from the loan sharks because she wanted to break out from poverty. She took a loan from the loan shark, hoping that she can get richer to support her family, and she sold homemade charcoal. But I want to give you this example to show you that poor people, it's not that they are lazy. A lot of them, they try very hard, but because of the four types of poverty, they become poorer. Okay, let me share with you. Number one, there is the poverty of being. Remember, poverty of being means that you can actually be God complex, or especially among the poor, they feel very inferior. Right? They say that I'm a nobody, I'm lousy. And for Mary, she grew up in a system where she is seen as a second-class human being because of patriarchy. Patriarchy means man is the boss. In the family, as a woman, you listen, you submit to your husband. You don't talk at all. If you talk too much, I divorce you, which still happens in many races, right? So second class due to patriarchy and polygamy. Polygamy means the man has the right to have many wives. So you make me unhappy, I go to another wife tonight. And then, so how did she feel? How does she feel growing up in this kind of culture? Second class. And because she doesn't understand that she was created in the image of God, there is the poverty of being. Or you can say a poverty of identity. This is the first one. All right? Second one, poverty of stewardship. She doesn't know that she is creative. She doesn't know that she as the steward of God's resources, she has the capacity to rule over creation. Means that she has a lot of ways to earn money. She doesn't know. Because of what? Because she wasn't educated well. Because women were second class, therefore women don't need to study much because you will eventually become housewives. Right? Even in those days, I don't know about Indians, but Chinese culture, those days were like that. Women don't need to study too much because later on you just give birth. That's why in some denomination, right, women, if you become pastors, right, actually you don't need to study too much because eventually you'll get married, you become a housewife. Even today, in some denominations, they think denomination means Christian denominations. You become, as a woman, if you become pastor, okay but later on I know you will, when you have children, you get distracted. That's how many people think. So because of that, poverty of being and poverty of stewardship, she didn't have the opportunity to be educated. So she doesn't know how to break through and earn money. This is poverty of stewardship. The third one, poverty of community. Remember I said poverty of community means some people, they are so self-centered. Within the community, they try to exploit one another. They try to take advantage of one another. So she went to get a loan from the loan shark. It's 300% interest. 300% means 3 times. You get 10 ringgit, you pay back 30 ringgit. What is this, right? But she had no choice. No one was there to give her, to help her, to give her an interest-free loan or a low-interest loan. No one. So she had to go to loan shark, and the loan shark were happy to give her money, not for free, but 300%. This is poverty of community. And lastly, poverty of spiritual intimacy. The problem for her is that she didn't know the true God. So what she did was she went to find the spiritual leaders of the community, which were the witch doctors. They were the only spiritual leaders that she knew. So she went to the witch doctor, and the witch doctor told her that she has offended the ancestral spirits. That means she had offended some gods. So what she need to do is she need to get a bull to sacrifice to appease, to make the ancestral spirits happy. She was already very poor. She already owed so much money. And now the witch doctor come and say, you need to buy a cow, a base. So this is a true story to tell you that when you go and reach out to the poor people, a lot of them are not just financially poor, but behind that financial poverty, there are so many types of poverty that have caused this thing to happen. So if you just go and give money, you just go and give food without understanding their story, you will not know the problem. I know this is a bit complicated, but this is what is happening. So if we think that we go out there, as long as we give money, we will solve the problem of poverty, we are wrong. Isn't it? Same way, we go to Sarawak for mission trip, we give money, we think we solve the problem. No. We haven't begun to understand the complexity of the poverty or the different forms of poverty among the people. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. I hope you have a bit of understanding that two things. Number one, we are all poor, just poor in different ways. So when we go and help someone who is materially poor, we don't go as heroes. We don't go as Messiah. We go as a fellow poor person to another fellow poor person. And we go not just to throw money at them, but to hear their stories. It's very, very complex. When you start to understand this kind of story, you will throw away the stereotype that poor people are poor because they are lazy. Sometimes there are those who are like that, but most people are not like that. Sometimes poor people are working even harder than us. It's just that these are the things that are being caught in the system. Right? So a few things I want to mention here, all right? In that book, When Helping Hurts, it mentioned 3 types of help. If you look at this, you might not see this clearly. The first type of help is relief. The second is rehabilitation. The third is development. Means that, for example, when Adam and the team, they went to Shah Alam. What is that? Taman what? Taman Muda. Sri Muda. Louder? Sri Muda, all right? When you go there, right, what do? The first thing you do is to provide relief. Because some of them, maybe they haven't been eating for many days, maybe. So the first thing you want to do is that you give out food. You don't ask too many questions. You don't say, are you sure that you are a flood victim? You don't ask. You just go there, you give out food already. You know, they are struggling to survive. So relief is the first stage. Right after the crisis has happened, the first stage is urgent, but it's temporary. Okay, after 3 months, you go back there, you don't give out food anymore, right? They don't need your food. Right? Only the first round, the most critical period, relief, urgent and temporary aid to reduce immediate suffering. It's very important to know these 3 stages. So you look at the crisis, like pandemic, when we started off, we give out food, right? Relief. Because some, they are struggling. You don't ask too many questions. Yeah, you ask a few things, but you just give. Because a lot of people are struggling to survive. Second is rehabilitation. Seek to restore people to the positive elements of their pre-crisis conditions. Means, first round, you give out food. Second round, you go there, it's not a food problem anymore. Now, a lot of things they need to recover. They need to wash the house. They need to buy new furniture. That's rehabilitation. Restore the positive elements to pre-crisis. So then the next round, maybe what Adam and their team could go is not give out food already. Is to go and ask, can we come and help you to move your destroyed furniture out? Can we help to buy some furniture for you if you need? Can we help to wash your house? That kind of thing. There's rehab, the second one. But most of our help comes under the third category, development. Development is, this is a bit long, a process of ongoing change that moves all the people involved closer to being in relationship with God, self, others, and the rest of creation. Now, this basically is what I mentioned about the 4 relationships just now. Now you're not going out to give money. Now you're not going out to help them to wash their house. You're trying to listen to their story and understand what kind of poverty they are suffering from, not just finance, and to lead them and ourselves to a right relationship with these four relationships. Okay, so still a bit theoretical. But basically, to make it simple, is to start to understand their story and to empower them and to empower them and to journey with them. And that's basically what it is. Okay, sometimes these scholars they try to write things very in a complicated way, to make themselves feel sophisticated, right? But understand this, because if you don't understand this, sometimes people need your help not in relief. They need your help in development, but you still give out food. They actually don't need. Sometimes they want you to help them to find a job, for example. That is development. The poverty of stewardship. They want to know how they can use their resources, their time, their energy to earn money. So if we don't find out a job, we keep saying that, no, we give out food, we give out money, then also wrong. Right? So a lot of our future or current or future help towards other people will come under development. Because usually they are not really facing a natural disaster. It's an ongoing suffering in their lives. Okay? Right. So I just want to stop here for a while. Still there? Okay. Sorry, today heavy a bit, Right? But so far, any thoughts or any question you want to ask? Okay. Because this is a bit theoretical, that's why today I want to invite Adam to come and share. Because Adam, he has experience not just in the food bank or giving out food, but I hear from him his story of how he really go from money and things, from project to people. So maybe from what he's mentioned, what he's going to share to you, maybe you can also think about how as a cell group or as individual, you can really move out to reach out to other people and to lead them in the right relationship with God, self, others, and the rest of creation. All right, so without further ado, let us give a round of applause for Adam. No, I'll go down.
Hello. Okay. Praise the Lord. Yeah. The pastor has spoken. How shall we be close to our neighbors? First of all, I want to thank, especially the church here, as my family always. In things what we do for the community, I think y'all was with me and with our team. Yes. Why we are doing this, why I personally do this, because I also came from a family where we also have hard times at times, and we get helps through many people. We see people loves us, and like my neighbors, sometimes they actually, I have shared in few workshops before that when we have no food, somehow God send them to us to bless some food. And also we see our neighbors, how they've been helping others. And why can't we do that? Why can't I do this? That's how I think in the process in line. And I can't, and very young age, when I was standard 3, I joined this church. And if you see the dynamic of this church, we are helpful people. We help many people, but we normally we don't. We are very low profile, and we don't share to people that we help people. So a number of them who are sitting here are still doing that. So, and today I'm so happy that I'm with them and doing this. Uh, and please understand, by doing this, it's a very challenging, and sometimes you will be very disappointed that what we also see in our line, where myself, Terence, and Bing, Uncle Tawang, and Florence, and many others, many others. I don't want to mention name, but yes, challenges are there, lah. Always challenges. Uh, then Pastor asked me to share few stories, but I don't want to delay. I just want to take one of two stories that what we did. Uh, the process of helping people, profession drive, we do encounter some families. Individually, I'm helping them or visiting them, and personally, we've been doing. Then one family here that she's a single mother. She's a single mother, and the first husband died, and they are from broken family, and she had a second husband, and she had a child, and he left her. So we was 6 months with the probation drive program. We've been helping her. We've been helping her. Then what happened? Then I slowly get into the picture with that the knowledge of Anna. Since he's a single, then I don't want to go into a problem later on with my family. So actually, I and Anna, we both of us come together, and we visit her. We will pray for her. Slowly, we move in, and then she had no IC, and she's uneducated and all those things. Then meanwhile, she has a baby, 7 month old, without uh, without having birth certificate. So we've been helping her, praying her. Then I also talked to, because she have no any other records, and she has no parents, because she came from a home. She came from home. Then after that, we what we did, I talked to the church DC. Then we had some fun, and to prepare her for the documentation, government documentations. And finally, we are in the process of getting that soon. The IC we already got. Then we have the birth certificate in line, because the husband left, and there is a process on that. So we actually spoke to her. I literally went all the way to see the husband and talk to him. I say, whatever issue is this, please come. We will settle this. Your daughter need to go to school in future. If not, it's going to be very hard for her. So, and he respect me, and he came. Respect me and came, and we did. And also, she's a non-believer before, and now, because of the process that I've been showing love, and my Anna and myself, she actually came and told us that she loved the church. She loved the church. She's been attending our Tamil service now, and the daughter. Uh, then in the process, actually, we have been privileged to name, because the baby always was called baby, 8 months, no name. Then we have been get the privilege to name the girl Jerusha. So Anna prayed, and it's a wonderful journey. It's like a daughter for us. We actually literally adopt her. So in very young age, I'm doing this. God really showing me, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful to see this. Then they are coming to church. That's so happy to see. That's one of the story that I want to share to you all. Another story is also I can see, yeah, you can see some of our young boys. Yeah, they are here with our church, but they came from the broken family. It is because always we spend time with them, and whatever need. Sometimes it's not by money, but expectation will be there. Those people you are helping, the expectation is always money, but we want to come out from that only in the beginning we will do. After that, it's more on relationship and development. So even for this lady that I've been talking, I want to set up a business for her because she can't leave her daughter somewhere and go. It's too expensive. So we want to maybe start a breakfast kind of stall for her. Actually, I'm working on that. So we are like planning out. So buy a umbrella with a table. Why not you start a living? So we are doing this. We are doing this. So our boys are here also in the same process. They also like that. Uh, and today you can see them in church and serving. These are the good things that I'm seeing. It's a long process, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Uh, so one thing that we can do is that's the thing in our cell groups. I'm not joining cell group because sorry, not to say I don't like our cell group. It's because I'm too busy with my time, and that's the thing. Because I more like to individual visit and all those. I've been doing this, but cell group concept is the wonderful concept in the church. I agree that we should do as a church. That's a learning platform for us to go to the community and when you bring them is another thing is that the process is not bring them and discuss about how to help them while they are there. Please don't do that. That's my advice. You must select among your group one or two people, see how you can help that particular person, because when you have a many group, so many cooks will spoil the soup. So that would happen. So individual is very much effective. So you can get together two of you in the cell group, and if you know someone, when they come to you and invite them to cell group, then after that you have to go individually to help them, but it takes time. Then you bring to the church, then the leadership of the church will also do the same. So this is what I want to share, Pastor. uh, Anything else that you want to ask me?
Okay, we will come back to asking you in a while. You stand here for a while.
Sure, sure.
A round of applause for Adam.
Thank you.
You want to say something?
That for the clap.
Respond with. Before I ask these questions, or you can ask him questions, or you can share a bit. I remember Elder Lim was mentioning just now when we were praying for Darren and Enoch, right? Saying that this is a small town problem where young people live, which is true, which is in the past I'm very concerned because even in JB, right, our concern you can say is a city, but they are living for Singapore. So for me, it's like, wow, we try to groom up young people, then they leave. Then left with the older people, which is good, but we also think like we want to have succession as well. But after some years, and then understanding all this concept made me realize that actually it's also not a problem. People will come and go, but what kind of church we want to build? We can build a church where even the older people, when they go out and meet the needs of other people, and other people where they experience the love of Christ, whether young or old is not an issue, when they bring, then the church will continue to grow as well. So my concern is not so much now. I'm at peace that even when young people, they leave. If they come back, they come back. Those days when I was a young pastor, I would say, you all go Singapore, you all greedy people on the pulpit, Because today I look back, what kind of pastor I was, but we learn along the way. But what I'm saying is that if this church, it's okay if the young people, they leave, we bless them, they go and be a salt and light wherever they are. But with those who are here with us, let us really be the light and salt in this community. Can I hear amen?
Amen.
And as what Adam shared, there are a lot of excitements, rewarding, but there are also a lot of disappointments and setbacks as well. But the very, very exciting thing is that as you minister to them, they experience God's love through us. And some of them, they even come to the church. And I think that one is God's way of blessing us to tell us that don't need to be so concerned about whether the church grow or not in number. Because as you continue to reach out to the people and they experience your love, people will come. Better than we do the convenient way, Easter and Christmas, do big thing, people come, experience, a powerful message, and then accept Christ. Not wrong with that. But then I think the more effective way and the more Christ-like way is to really go out and be Christ among the people. Right? So having said that, I just want to come back to you, Adam. A few questions I want to ask you, then you all can ask some questions as well. Can you just share one or two setbacks or disappointments that you face as you continue to minister to these people that sometimes will make you feel a bit upset or want to give up?
Okay, one of the thing is, I think in beginning times we help also those who are dropout youths, uh, where we pump lot of money, lot of time, efforts have been put, and now you can't see him or see her in a church. So that's one of the side back that I see, and at times I ask God, shall I do this? I've been like wasting the church money. I've been wasting like individuals' money, their effort, and all those things. Uh, and I also have a fear. Uh, you when they ask me what happened to these people, wow, how am I going to answer? So it's quite disturbing sometimes. Even I sometimes will feel shy to come church, so and all those things. So, but at times I felt that I really thank God for the congregation that we have. They said, "You are doing good. Keep doing. We will be back of you." That's the beautiful word they always share to me. Love.
We also want to thank Adam because of his hard work. Also a reminder to us of what we should continue to do as well. Like he said, some of you have been doing this as well. But let the whole church do it individually and as a church to be a best church for the community. And I'm also thankful to God for this church because Adam always tell me that this church, the people are very generous. Pumping in money so that the others can go and help other people. But as I said, let's do it together, not just pumping out money, but to enter into this mess and be among the people, which Jesus did. He left the comfort of heaven and came to be among all these messy people, right? So I think this is what we should do as well.
Another challenge, sorry, Pastor.
Yeah.
Another challenges is what Pastor said. We sometimes get a lot of money, if you see, but we have always lack of manpower. That's another side back that we face. We find when we help in provisions and all that, sometimes we have no people to help us. So that kind of challenges we face, lah.
Okay. I just want to ask one thing because you're saying that too much cook spoil the soup, right? Because he mentioned to me before that if the whole cell group takes care of one family, it can be a bit counterproductive because everyone has different ideas of how to help. All right. So your suggestion is more of like even in the small group, you break into smaller groups of 2 to 3%. Then that smaller group will take care of different families. Is that what you're saying? Can you
Yes.
elaborate further on that? On why?
Okay, in Asian culture, we have to see Asian culture because, and especially I am from an Indian background, we are very sensitive. We are very sensitive, and when every people come together, then all say something. So we first we were very confused. Second, am I too down for these people? That kind of reaction will come lah. So then what they will fell is they will try to avoid you next time, or you try to avoid to you come to your counsel. So that's will happen lah.
Okay, thank you. I want to add on to what he said. Like in the other church that I'm also helping out is St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church Kulai. So what they did 2 years back during the pandemic 2020 was that the children ministry teachers, right, they went to the different homes and give out Christmas presents. Most of these children, they are Indians. They come from Indian families. And one of the experiences that the children ministry teachers had that during that gift giving period, Christmas season, was that there was this Indian father came out and scolded the teacher and said, "We don't need your things." So then we realized that, hey, why is it like that? We just want to give out gifts. Why are you so sensitive? So that was our thought. Only after I read this book, When Helping Helps, they talk about another story where a lot of times when this group of people, they went out to give out presents and give out things to the families, asking whether they need things or not. The fathers are always not around. Then they wonder, why is it that the fathers are always not at home? Later on, only they realize that every time that the Christians are coming over to give out things, the father will run away. Why? Because the fathers are ashamed. They are ashamed because the moment you give out things, it reflects on the father that the father is unable to provide for the family. And therefore, he feels very low in his self-esteem. That's why he will run away. So that helps me to think about the church that we were talking about, where we went out and then there's this father who scolded the children ministry lead teacher. Maybe, the message that we send out when we give out gifts, that the father took it is like, you think that I cannot support my family. You see, so these are things that from the surface we think that they are rude, but only after you start to understand the different forms of poverty, then you better understand that there are different struggles that they're going through. Then you will start to better learn how to love them. Having said that, you see, if a cell group, the whole cell group and visit one family, how do they feel? It's very intimidating, Say for example, 7 people, let's go, kingdom community, kingdom lifestyle, let's go, 7, 10 people, let's go to a house and pray for them. For the family, then you come, this food for you, this for you, you think that they are happy. But maybe inside their heart, they feel even more inferior. You see, so I understand what Adam is saying here is like you try to break into smaller groups, 2 or 3 person a group, and you really take care of one family, each small group. In that way, it's also not very intimidating for the families as well. So these are things, small little things that are actually very crucial. Yeah. Any other thoughts you have? Okay. Okay. Any question or comments for Adam? Do you want to tap into his experience? Anything you want to ask or you want to share? You're good? Okay. So, yeah. Thank you, Adam. Anything else you want to share?
No.
Okay. Round of applause for Adam.
Thank you.
Every time we invite you up to share, it's one step closer to preaching. Here, we have progressed much because before this, we were always in a Bible study group, remember? Some years back. And then later on, we said we want to move into cell group. And then we also start to think about how we can do the 4 Ws, the welcome, the worship, the word, and the works. And then you have some groups like Wailing's group, for example. I know they want to do regular visit to orphanage or old folks' home. That's a good step. Rather than just Christmas you go on a regular basis. And that one orphanage or that one old folks' home, you always go. Because at the end of the day, you want to build relationship. Not just go and throw presents and go off. But I think we can move a step on from here, further on from here, and to think as a cell group, how can we look out to the needs in the community and maybe break that 7, 8% into smaller groups, and not smaller cell groups, but smaller groups of to reach out and minister to the different families. And I just want to urge those who are in cell groups to start thinking about this, right? And maybe on Sundays when we come together, it's no longer about how's your day, how's your weather, but how have you been helping the neighborhood? These are exciting stories that we want to continue to spur one another. So that when Jesus comes again, he look at our church, good job. Rather than, what are you doing? Social club, that kind of thing. So may this be encouragement to us all. Right? So with that in mind, let us close in prayer. Lord, we thank you for this introduction session, Lord, on social work and the different forms of poverty that's behind the struggles of people. Help us so that we can be like Jesus, who did not save us from heaven, but came down to earth, and not just come as a Messiah, but to live with the people for many years and to journey along with us as strugglers before you went to the cross. So I pray for each and every one of us here, individually and as a group, a cell group, and also as a church, Lord. We want to be the best community for the community, best church for the community. We want to use whatever resource that we have, Lord, to be a blessing to others and to enter into the lives of others, to help them and journey with them, to restore the different forms of relationships that are fractured. Thank you, Jesus, for all those who are here today. May we really be salt and light wherever we are. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. All right, thank you so much.